You won't believe what the biggest Wall Street banks were planning over the weekend. While we were all distracted with Mother's Day, with our family, the head of the American Banking Association sent an urgent private letter to all bank CEOs. And in this private letter, he is warning all of them to attack the Clarity Act before its markup on Thursday. So, as we were covering last week, in regards to the Clarity Act, things have fundamentally shifted like on a dime. Basically, I believe it was 2 weeks ago or 2 Fridays ago, we were still very unsure about what was going to happen with the Clarity Act. And then last Friday, over the weekend, we got a very basically 180% shift on what was going to happen on the Clarity Act. We all heard it might be coming Monday. Now it's official. It is going to, or rather the Clarity Act markup is going to happen on Thursday with the Senate Banking Committee. So this Thursday, we are going to see, or rather we will all be following along if the Clarity Act markup goes through. If that does happen, obviously, that is a huge advancement on the Clarity Act. Now, that's just, the latest context of what is going on with the Clarity Act. And of course, a lot of us, especially me in particular, we have been very cynical on what is even in the Clarity Act, whether this is going to be good for Bitcoin. What is this going to do? Is this going to bring the regulatory clarity, in quotes, that we all expect? Will this even be good for the Bitcoin industry? Well, we will see Thursday exactly what is going to get pushed through. But since the date has been officially marked, the banks are in a full-blown panic mode. They are last minute trying to stop this because of the whole contention we've been covering for weeks now in regards to the stablecoin yield. Now, since we have a markup date, they are literally doing whatever they can to stop this from happening. If the banks are panicking around the Clarity Act, you kind of love to see it. It's honestly making me a little more bullish on the Clarity Act. And I was trolling last week. Remember, I was trolling about it because we saw Elizabeth Warren start freaking out about the Clarity Act. And I was like pretty much joking on the show. I'm like, this is starting to make me feel bullish about the Clarity Act, about what is going in the Clarity Act. If they are starting to freak out, then maybe it'll be a lot better than we thought. Now, for everyone else, at least the kind of reigning contention, kind of the leading narrative here is that once the Clarity Act goes through, obviously, this is the Senate Banking Committee. They're going to do their markup. The Senate Agricultural Committee already did their markup. Now, once we get the Senate Banking Committee markup, they're basically going to combine this, and then it's going to go to the president, and it's going to get signed into law. If the banks are freaking out about this, it kind of reminds me why we're here for Bitcoin. Anyways, enough context here. Let me give you some context here because we got a very interesting quote coming out of Senator Bernie Moreno. And this is what he said in response to the letter that I'm going to read for you. Here's Bitcoin Magazine quoting it. And it goes, American Bankers Association are desperately trying to stop the Bitcoin and crypto market structure bill, says Senator Bernie Moreno. Quote, the banking cartel is in a full-blown panic mode and are demanding bank CEOs to lobby senators and kill stable coins, or rather, kill the Clarity Act. So let me go into here. Senator Bernie Moreno, he goes on further in another statement, basically saying I'm voting to break the banking cartel. So we're seeing sides being built here, okay? So let me pull in the full letter here. So what happened is the American Bankers Association CEO, Rob Nichols, sent a letter yesterday to all banking CEOs. Hold on, let me zoom in here for you guys. And we will read a little bit of this. So, to the American Bankers Association member bank CEOs, first off, happy Mother's Day to all the moms receiving this email, and I am sorry to intrude on your Sunday. Man, gotta love it. He says, I'm reaching out to make every bank leader in this country aware of an urgent advocacy fight that requires your immediate engagement. As you may be aware, the Senate Banking Committee has been working on digital asset legislation for several months, and late on Friday, the committee announced plans to, quote, mark up and vote on the Clarity Act this coming Thursday. To be clear, we want Congress to put in place digital asset rules and establish responsible guardrails for the crypto industry. The current version of the legislation, although improved from an earlier version, still does not adequately prevent crypto companies from offering interest-like rewards on payment stablecoins. Without additional changes, we believe the current proposal would unnecessarily incentivize the flight of bank deposits into payment stablecoins, putting both economic growth and financial stability at risk. They always do the same thing. It's our fault. It's the Bitcoin crypto industry's fault for the financial stability of the traditional financial system. You got to love the gaslighting. Anyways, going further, it goes. On Friday, we joined with other banking trade associations in sending a letter to committee members outlining our concerns and detailing specific changes needed to strengthen this section and protect the bank deposits that help drive the U.S. economy. We need your help to drive this message home before senators consider this legislation. Please join with fellow bankers across the nation at this critical moment by contacting your senators and asking them to close this loophole before the bill moves forward. Please encourage your employees to do the same. Wow. On Mother's Day, the National Banking Association is in full-blown panic mode over the Clarity Act markup coming from the Senate Banking Committee on Thursday. It's absolutely incredible. They've literally been fighting the Clarity Act for months, and now that we finally get a date, they do an all-out attack to make sure that they are protected. The very banks that got a bailout in 2008, the very banks that are causing basically everything that we're dealing with now are afraid of stablecoins. Now, you know me, I'm not the biggest stablecoin guy. I understand there is a use case for stablecoins. But when you understand that traditional banking saving accounts is like what, a 0.38% interest on your savings, and a stable coin is somewhere around 3.5%, it's very obvious that the banks do not want competition. Instead of competing on the field, they're asking for a moat. They're lobbying Congress to stop this because they know that they can't compete with this. Is the irony just not gushing out here? Can we not all acknowledge the irony here? Now, going further, I saw this updated quote here from Patrick Witt, of course, Executive Director, President's Council of Advisors for Digital Assets. And he goes, I specifically requested the attendance of Mr. Nichols and other bank trade CEOs at the meetings we hosted back in February to resolve the stablecoin reward/yield issue. They refused. I guess the White House was beneath them. In their defense, I wouldn't want to have to defend their position in public either. We're seeing their gloves come off because the Clarity Act markup is happening on Thursday. Now, obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get through. And this is where I'm going to bring up Eleanor Terrett's, basically her breakdown of where we currently stand. Okay. So again, you guys know Eleanor Terrett, Crypto America. I've been covering her work. She's been doing very good work in Washington, D.C., covering all of the stuff coming out, covering what's happening with the Clarity Act. So to me, she's probably the best source to fully understand what is going on with the Clarity Act. And here is what she posted this morning. And she goes, take two, the Clarity Act heads to markup in Senate banking. Ahead of Thursday's pivotal vote, last-minute preparations are being made, though a big question remains. Will Democrats support it? So going down, let's read a little bit of it. It's a pivotal week for U.S. crypto policy. The Senate Banking Committee has officially scheduled the long-awaited markup for the Clarity Act, the next step toward passing comprehensive crypto market structure legislation into law. As Crypto and America reported last week, Senate Banking Chairman Tim Scott announced the markup on Friday evening, scheduling it for this Thursday. According to a committee memo, the final legislative text is expected to be released later today, so at least we'll get to see what's in it today. And senators must submit any amendments before close of business tomorrow. It's nearly 4 months to the day since the first Senate banking markup was scrapped over 11th hour objection from industry leaders, chiefly, of course, Coinbase. We covered all of that. Now it seems like we're might be in the same scenario, just coming from the banking committee here. So anyways, of course, we all know Brian Armstrong basically said the bill deferred too much to banks and could effectively kill stablecoin reward programs for consumers. Now, in the 11th hour, we're seeing from the banks, they're basically saying the same thing. If the stablecoin rewards goes through, that we're, I don't know, going to kill the entire banking system. We're going to kill savings accounts. We're going to risk the entire traditional financial stability because of this rewards. It's insane. Anyways, Coinbase executives now appear content with where talks have landed. Following months of tense negotiations between crypto and banking lobbyists, trade groups, the White House, Senate staffers, as well as lead negotiators. But certain factions of the banking sector, particularly those with consumer-facing arms, are still mounting a last-minute stand to revise the stablecoin yield deal ahead of Thursday's planned markup. Banking trade groups representing some of those institutions, again, as I showed you, sent a Senate banking leadership, a letter to Senate banking leadership on Friday, arguing the current compromise language still leaves rooms for reward programs that could replicate yield. It's all in the details, right? It's all in the stablecoin yield. Again, remember, I could have swore that the Genius Act was entirely based around stablecoins. And I could have sworn that the Clarity Act was for the broader Bitcoin, crypto, digital asset sector. And yet it seems like stablecoins are the biggest concern in the Clarity Act, which for many of us, I thought was already settled. I thought we already settled that a long time ago. Now, this seems to be the huge contention. This is the one thing that's been stopping it. So either the bank executives didn't read what was in the Genius Act, or maybe they didn't feel concerned, or maybe they felt that in hindsight they could fix what they didn't like. Now it seems like it's all coming to a head. It seems like this is the final battle. And further, from what I've been reporting on the show and from what I could see, I thought we had gotten this all figured out. So I guess now that we have a markup date, full-blown panic is happening from the banks, especially these consumer-facing banks. But who knows, right? Maybe it's maybe this is just for the benefit, and protection of the customer. Maybe this is for you. Maybe they're fighting for you. I highly doubt it. Anyways, let me read a little more quotes here. Quote, "We believe that committee members may not be fully aware of the risk to the economy posed by the stablecoin loophole. Your immediate engagement can make a difference." Going further, and this is probably the key point here for what we're going to see happen on Thursday, is where is this? Here we go. So the good news for the crypto industry and the banks that want to finally get access to crypto is that the bill can still advance at a committee on a partisan vote. But opinions are mixed on whether that may ultimately weaken its chances in the full Senate. Some, like Alex Thorne, shouts out to Alex Thorne of Galaxy Digital, Bitcoiner, awesome dude, believe a strictly GOP committee vote could make it harder to secure Democratic support needed to reach the 60 vote threshold on the floor. Quote, "While it's possible the bill could still succeed if it advances through Senate banking on a partisan basis, the odds of ultimate Senate passage are certainly diminished if no Democrats vote in favor during committee markup on Thursday. Others are less concerned, arguing the remaining issues can be worked out before the legislation reaches the Senate. Quote, "There's been a lot of pessimists throughout this process at every stage. This bill would be dead by now if there wasn't bipartisan will to get it done. Every outstanding issue is very surmountable so long as that will remains." So let's see what happens on Thursday. All right, guys. So this is the latest update on the Clarity Act. Now, what is interesting is, as you guys know, we have been covering what Senator Lummis has been saying, and she's been very vocal on the idea that there is bipartisan support. And I think that last quote really does highlight the fact that if there wasn't bipartisan support for this, it probably would have been dead a long time ago. Now, with that being said, as you guys know, I have been very pessimistic. I've been pessimistic fields in regards to the Clarity Act actually going through because it's been getting delayed. I thought we were going to get this in January, right? It seemed like they just tried to kick the can down the road and run out the clock. And yet we finally got a date. So I think it does show that there is a will to get this pushed. As we all know, President Trump is very vocal about the fact that he wants to get the Clarity Act passed. He's been very vocal on the idea that the U.S. is going to be the superpower of the world in terms of Bitcoin or crypto. And so I think a lot of the political pressure coming from the Trump administration has obviously gotten everyone to be like, okay, we got to get this through. Though, as you know, there is a very strong bias against anything Trump does from the Democratic Party, but there has been some dissenting views from the Democrats. Again, it's not a monolithic entity. They don't all get the same marching orders, or rather, they don't all follow the marching orders is probably a better way of saying this. But we do know that there are a lot of people that, you know, in spite of Trump, basically vote against anything that the Trump administration wants to do. With that being said, again, we got the Senate Agricultural Committee's markup that went through. Now we're going to see what happens on Thursday with the Senate Banking Committee. If they vote on it and that goes through, then from my understanding, they will combine the two. That will try to get a full Senate vote. If that happens, then Trump will sign it into law, and we'll see if the Capitol comes off the sideline and starts to pump the Bitcoin price. That is kind of the prevailing narrative right now, that essentially the institutions, the banks, the retail institutional investor, maybe the person that isn't fully orange-pilled, fully convinced of Bitcoin, or rather maybe a little or uncertain about what this Bitcoin thing or crypto digital assets industry is going to do, are waiting for the regulatory clarity before they can actually deploy their capital. Now, of course, this isn't just a narrative trench warfare game. There is some legalities here that obviously once the Clarity Act goes through, they will finally be able to get their capital into Bitcoin. So that's the latest update. Now, to give you a little more of an update, obviously, we have been covering the poly market odds. Now, we did see some very interesting stuff happen over the weekend in regards to the poly market odds, to the betting markets. And we covered it a little bit on Friday. It rose as high as 71. Obviously, it was at like 40% last month, a few weeks ago. It rose to about 69%. It got as high as 71, I believe, and then it almost hit 75% chance of passing over the weekend until Sunday, and now we are currently at a 65% chance that it goes through, at least, again, according to the betting odds. Now, I don't put too much weight in the betting odds, but it does show you where a lot of people's heads are at. So it is, oh, wait, sorry, I didn't pull it up. It does show you kind of what the prevailing narrative is. Again, it got as high as almost 75% over the weekend, and then the news broke that the Banking Association is panicking in regards to the Clarity Act passing. They are doing a full-blown, full court press lobbying against Congress to try to get what they want in the Clarity Act. So look, I'm almost sounding giddy right now. Like I'm hearing myself in my headphones, and it seems like I'm getting excited. Also, I might have drinking a little too much coffee this morning, guys. I was like low-key jittery before the show, but I don't know if I'm giddy because of this story or is it just too much caffeine, but it does show to me, and I know this has been one of the biggest conversations amongst Bitcoiners for a long time, is like, has Bitcoin lost the revolutionary spirit? Are we applauding our own demise here by embracing institutions, by embracing politics? potentially. But when I see stuff like this, it really starts to get me excited. When I see the banks and institutions start to panic, I think I get a fire inside of me, and I start to be remembered of why I love Bitcoin so much. Now, obviously, in context of this story, this is obviously wholly based on stablecoins. Now, I think I may have matured on my view in stablecoins, and you guys could call me whatever you want in the chat. I don't hold stablecoins. I don't recommend anyone hold stablecoins. It doesn't make sense to me. Why would you want anything stable connected to the dollar, pegged to the dollar, when your dollar is losing purchasing power every year? To me, it makes no sense. Like, I mean, it makes sense why I understand why people want to hold them. Maybe, you know, they're afraid of the Bitcoin volatility. Maybe they haven't studied enough and they don't understand what Bitcoin's going to do for the world. I get it. People want to peg, say, or rather maybe store their wealth in dollars because they are so used to it. But what we are seeing is that stablecoin usage is going global. And we have seen the Trump administration push stablecoins very, very hard because I think they understand what all of us here at Simply Bitcoin understand, what our friend Mark Goodwin has been writing about, the Bitcoin dollar thesis, where stablecoins are basically the U.S.'s buyer of last resort for treasury. While the world potentially doesn't want to buy treasuries, they know they have a very strong buyer with stablecoins. Hence why the Stablecoin Genius Act came in first, because there's a whole new interest for treasuries with stablecoins. That's how they peg to the dollar. Now, what I am seeing, though, and what is very interesting is, one, of course, a lot of people want to use stablecoins around the world. A lot of people have very bad currencies and they want to be able to get into the dollar system. The way the dollar's set up right now, the dollar can't go everywhere around the world, but a stablecoin sure can. And a lot of people would rather have the dollar versus their local currencies. Obviously, personally, I don't recommend that. I would say just buy Bitcoin. But again, people are a little afraid of the volatility. Now, what is interesting, though, is this does seem like a Trojan horse scenario. In my opinion, it does seem like, let me pull back. Amongst Bitcoiners, there has been a very strong meme, one of my favorite memes, where, yes, I am an anti-altcoin, anti-shitcoiner. I don't think you should be holding shitcoins. I think most of them are hot garbage. Most of them are going to zero. But rather, basically all of them. I mean, some can stay around longer than others. But one of the ideas, and I forget who said it, but one of my friends or favorite Bitcoiners have said for a long time, it might have been like Mr. Hodl, I forget. It was basically the only use case for shitcoins, for altcoins, is to distract the politicians and the lawmakers, because while they're so distracted attacking these shitcoins, while they're so distracted by trying to stop these stable coins and altcoins, Bitcoin is able to get through the door. And what we're seeing here is that the banking industry is very concerned about stablecoin deposits, about stablecoin interest, stablecoin rewards, because they know that they're going to have to compete now. That you can get a better return if you just save in stablecoins versus keeping your dollars in a savings account. Now, if we can get the Clarity Act through the door, and if the crypto industry, in quotes, can get the stablecoin rewards or interest, however they want to frame it, through the door, and this does pass at least beneficial to the whole industry, they're going to be so focused on trying to stop the stablecoin usage. They're going to do everything to try to stop people from saving in stablecoins, that I think this is going to backfire. It's going to Streisand effect so hard that people are going to start using Bitcoin. Bitcoin's through the door. Clarity Act's through. Capital is going to flow to Bitcoin. Numbers going to start going up. The positive feedback loop plays out. I don't know, guys. I think I am now very excited to see what is coming through the Clarity Act. I am, you know me. I have been saying for weeks now, I'm very bearish on the Clarity Act. I don't even know what's in it. It's probably not going to be good. But when I see signs like Elizabeth Warren, the National Banking Association, start to freak out about it, they're starting to get scared in a full-blown panic mode. It's Mother's Day, and he's sending private letters to all the bank CEOs saying, hey, we have to stop this or else. Like, he's basically saying, we are screwed if we don't stop this. If we don't lobby and try to get what we want, we are absolutely screwed. Obviously, he said it a little more professionally than I did. This is the stuff that I'm like, oh, yes. I forgot what it felt like. I forgot what it felt like to put it to the man again. I forgot what it felt like to have that revolutionary spirit again. And though this is in regards to, you know, politics, which is probably the most interesting thing to me. It's like, look, we're seeing, even though Bitcoin is being embraced by politicians, we're seeing at the same time that maybe that this is going to be a big maybe. Maybe there is, again, the Trojan horse idea happening. While we see some politicians are pushing for freedom money, maybe it's not perfect, but maybe all we need is just to get our foot through the door and the rest will take care of itself. What's the old saying? You know, I never really liked this one because it kind of made Bitcoin seem bad. Like Bitcoin is the virus. Bitcoin is the cure. I forget how they would say Bitcoin is the cure to the virus, or Bitcoin will catch on like a virus. And I always said no, but like Bitcoin is the cure. It's not the virus, but it is acting pretty viral right now. If we get Bitcoin through the system, through the door, and they have no choice but to let their customers use Bitcoin, they have no choice but for themselves to invest in Bitcoin. This might be end game stuff. Now, obviously, the end game is going to take a long time. This isn't going to be a quick W, but this does feel like what winning would look like. Remember, I've been joking. Actually, we've been joking on this show for a minute. I think every one of our content creators has been joking on the idea that if Kamala Harris had won, they would be fighting us and we would be at a much higher price. And then Trump came in, he embraced Bitcoin, and it's been a little lackluster. Now we're seeing the bank, even though the banks are still embracing Bitcoin and they want to offer Bitcoin products, I'm really liking the fact that the banks are scared of Bitcoin, full-blown panic mode. It's really more afraid of stable coins, which to me, it's like, okay, you're afraid of the little, it's like that one, you know, that one fish, it's got like the crazy teeth and it's got like the little light in front of it. It's like the light is the stable coin and Bitcoin's behind it. You know, from Finding Nemo. You guys know the Finding Nemo scene. This is kind of how I'm starting to see this. The banks are so focused on stable coins that at this point, they're probably either of no concern to Bitcoin or they think stable coins are the real threat. It's honestly so sweet. It's honestly, it's happening exactly as we've been saying for a long time, that the only use case for shitcoins is to distract everyone out there while Bitcoin gets through the door. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. You guys can call me a stablecoin maxi now. It's fine. I'll take the heat. I'll take the tomatoes. But I absolutely love this. If the Clarity Act, and we'll cover this, I think we'll see the vote on Thursday. So maybe Friday we will cover exactly what happened. I'm guessing it won't happen before the show goes live on Thursday. So I'm guessing Friday I will be able to give you an update, unless it's like a breaking news somewhere through the show and I get you guys, the story literally live and breaking. But we'll come back to this by the end of the week, and we will have some definitive information in regarding to the Clarity Act. I know a lot of people in the chat are doing the Clarity Act is really the murky act. I kind of agree with you. But we will have more clarity on the Clarity Act by the end of the week. I'm sure things will heat up in the next few days in regards to what is in the Clarity Act, how the Banking Association is going to respond to this, what the, quote, crypto, Bitcoin, digital assets industry does in response to that. It is a very interesting week for Bitcoin in terms of policy here. And I know last week I was kind of joking with Nico. He's like, there's never a dull day in Bitcoin. And I'm like, bro, some days are a little slower than others. Today is not the day. This is very interesting. All right. I can't wait to watch what happens. Anyways, guys, I just realized I've been ranting solo for 30 minutes on this topic. Nico's not here today. He's busy, dude. He's banning. Anyways, I do have some updates for you. I actually have a clip from the CEO of Rhino app. And I think in context of what I'm talking about with the banks, this was at the Bitcoin conference. I think it was one of the side stages because I didn't see this going around, but I really like the clip. It is a little longer, but it's a good clip. And I think it's worth watching. And then I also have another update on Saylor. Saylor has been really doubling down on the never sell your Bitcoin drama. And he was on the Wolf of Wall Street podcast, and he clarified again. He's been clarifying since that really got him into hot water last week. So we're going to play that. And then, guys, I'm going to do my best to lay out why I think diminishing returns is bananas, why I think it's garbage. That's going to be the show for the culture. We're seeing some crazy stuff happen in the stock market, guys. And I think most people's view of big number market cap means big number returns are off the table. I completely think that is wrong. And I'll lay that out towards the end of the show. Anyways, first commercial break. I'll be right back.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bitcoin Well Infinite. If you're a serious Bitcoin buyer, you've probably hit the same wall. Most platforms make you give up custody just to play by the rules. Bitcoin Well Infinite fixes that. They're North America's only publicly traded, non-custodial OTC desk listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, which means transparent operations and zero counterparty risk.
You buy Bitcoin, you take immediate control, period. For trades over $50,000, you get a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, competitive spread starting at 1%, and immediate delivery straight to your own wallet. No custody risk, no withdrawal fees, just institutional grade execution with full asset control. If you want to buy Bitcoin the right way, book a free consultation at bitcoinwell.com/OTC or email infinite@bitcoinwell.com.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Stampseed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them down on paper. Paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on Stampseed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. Don't know what's going on with our streaming software, but hey, I'm here. Okay. The current Bitcoin price is, let's refresh this. Okay, $81,610 per Bitcoin. I don't know if you guys are watching the price action, but it's pretty interesting. We got as high as 82 again. It did get rejected from that resistance level that I was telling you about, roughly around 82K. So the next few days, this next week's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people are waiting for the drop. Everyone thinks that we're going to break out of the 70K range. You know, we're getting to that point where, yes, if we do get rejected again off that 82K range, could be in free fall for a little bit. But I'm of the opposite opinion. I think we're getting to the point where we might break through that range. And I said it to my boy Sal this morning at the gym. I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling 85K by the end of the week, but what do I know? I'm just getting the tickle here. I'm just spitballing here. Anyways, the discount from all-time high is currently 35.3%. The market cap is 1.63 trillion, and the block height currently, TikTok next block, is 948,971. So, as I was saying, there is a very strong correlation. And maybe it's because of us American Bitcoiners. You know, we all pine for the glory days here. You know, we love the Make America Great Again. We may not love Trump, but we love the idea of Bitcoin being American ideals instilled in cyberspace, the pursuit of happiness, property, all that good stuff. I saw this clip. It is a little long, so forgive me. The audio is a little weird, but shouts out the Rhino app or Rhino Bitcoin, because I absolutely love this. Maybe this is my American Americanism, American centrist. Wow, I can't speak today. Anyways, here is them tweeting, and this is kind of what got my my attention on it. It goes, our CEO, Hector Alvaro, received a roaring ovation at Bitcoin 2026 for this powerful 3-minute explanation of why fiat money is the theft of hope. Bitcoin protects your wealth. Okay, so I'm going to just play it. I think it's powerful. I think it is inspirational. And I think in the context of the banking industry attacking Bitcoin stable coins, just shows like how far we've really come here, how far we have fallen. But Bitcoin will restore the world back to something that will, in my opinion, improve all of our lives. So here we go. It is a little long, forgive me, but I think it's worth a listen.
So speaking to your question around sort of like the moral underpinnings of Bitcoin and maybe the lack thereof of our fiat monetary system, when I started thinking about this topic, my mind, for whatever reason, went to Thomas Jefferson. And specifically, the last of the inalienable rights that he enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, right? We all know the one, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? And we think of those words usually in historical or in political discussions, but I would submit that they are equally as important in conversations about money, and here's why. It's because money does a lot more than just represent value, right? It shapes our belief about whether or not we think that the work we do today is going to help us build a better tomorrow. And in order to understand why that is, we need to talk for a minute about property, which is ironically the exact word that Jefferson set aside from the Magna Carta in order to put the pursuit of happiness into the Declaration, right? So the thing is, most property represents the past. It reflects what somebody decided was the best thing they could try their time and energy for in a given moment. So whether that's a house, a car, a vacation, these are all the choices you've already made. But money is different. Money represents the future. It's the bridge between the work you've already done and the life you hope to build, right? Whether that's a business, a family, a dignified retirement, property represents happiness already chosen. But money actually enables the pursuit of the happiness still to come. And that's why I think that our current fiat monetary system is so unethical. Because when a privileged few can create money at will without any effort, it hurts our society in a much deeper way than just degrading everybody's purchasing power. And that's because it increases the distance between effort and reward. It tells people little by little that discipline doesn't matter, that patience doesn't matter, that saving doesn't matter, hell, that the future doesn't matter. And when people stop thinking that their efforts matter, they eventually give up on the pursuit entirely. So fiat money, in my opinion, is the theft of hope. And we see that in our society all around us. Whether that's record levels of substance abuse, whether it's deaths of despair, or whether it's betting on the weather in Paris. When people stop believing that tomorrow is going to be better than today, that's when they start looking for shortcuts, for escapism, or for hoping for lucky breaks instead. And that is why Bitcoin matters. Because by offering a money whose supply can't be manipulated, whose rules are transparent, and that insiders don't have privileged access to, Bitcoin can restore that hope. And so Bitcoin protects not just purchasing power, Bitcoin protects the pursuit of happiness itself.
Very nicely put.
Bars. Just to add again and circle back to the beginning, when a select few can stop legislation to ensure that you can own Bitcoin or a stable coin if you so choose, it really starts to highlight what exactly is going on in the system and who exactly is the masters of the fiat system. Again, remember what that banking committee letter said, or the National Banking Association letter said, that stable coins, which is absolutely insane, but we'll broaden this, Bitcoin or crypto digital assets are a threat to the growth of the system and the financial stability of the system. It's just absolutely crazy what we're seeing. It really starts to highlight what is going on in the world, how maybe, and I hate to use this framing because it does kind of lean into more of the far leftist ideology. But when you start to see who controls the money, you start to see who controls the system, you do start to see who your real masters are and what they think of you. They don't think you should have free choice. They don't think that you're smart enough to make the right choice. They think they have to protect you from it. They essentially want to keep you in perpetual peasantry, enslavement forever, because they have their moat, they have their power, they have their money, and they don't want to give you any of the crumbs. They're happy with the status quo. And when something comes to change that, they obviously will fight it. Now, we've talked about this a lot of times on the show, that we truly believe Bitcoin is freedom money. This is why everyone should hold some, or rather anyone can hold some. And we highly recommend to our friends and family that you should probably hold a little bit. What is super interesting to me is in the current moment that we're in, we are starting to see a proliferation of Bitcoin as this hedge to inflation, this exit route, this self-protection money, as much as it is freedom money. And we are starting to see that it's catching on. And so when I hear stuff like this, and I completely missed this the first time around, so shouts out to Rhino Bitcoin for posting this, because I think it's a powerful message that we do constantly need to reiterate to ourselves. We've brought up these conversations on this show for many years and on many different shows. And are you guys, you're here, hopefully not hearing some background noise. It should be the last day of construction over here. But this is the energy that I constantly have to remind myself of what we're doing, especially in the context of the show, where I have to cover the news for you guys every single day. And some of the stuff on the news, you know, is maybe I'm not ideologically aligned with. Again, I don't really care about ETFs. I'm watching the inflows because it's showing us what the institutions are doing. I don't really care about the banks embracing Bitcoin. I'm watching what the banks are doing because it is a development on where Bitcoin currently is. I want to see more people using Bitcoin. But if I did a show on Bitcoin adoption in Africa or something, you guys wouldn't watch the show. So I got to put a show out and I sneak that in so you guys can see that in every sector of Bitcoin, we are expanding. Not only is Bitcoin now in Washington, D.C., it's on Wall Street. It's in every corner of the world. Yes, stable coins, maybe you're not the biggest fan of, but people are using them. People are using, quote, digital currencies. So they are becoming a little more open to the idea of using Bitcoin. We are totally in the Bitcoin going mainstream, the early majority. I think in hindsight, we will look back at 2026 and beyond, and it's going to be very clear that this is that final jump into completely changing the world, into completely going into the mainstream. And as Bitcoin goes higher, it will become more and more obvious. If we're out of a bear market right now, I think the flywheel, as Saylor says, the positive feedback loop, it's going to expand. And I really do believe that we are going to see probably a bigger adoption level than we've seen in any year prior. And also, obviously, a way bigger price than we've ever seen in the world or in the history of Bitcoin. Anyways, that type of stuff gets me fired up. Kind of gets me going. Anyways, let's keep it moving a little bit, and we're gonna come back to the Saylor story. You guys already know, what was it, Thursday? I think it was Thursday. Everyone was freaking out because Saylor changed his meme from never sell your Bitcoin to say, what did he say? Sell less Bitcoin than you save. I think that's what it was. Maybe I'm butchering it. I'll find it on the commercial break. Well, he went on the podcast and they asked him, Wolf of Wall Street podcast, and they asked him about it. And ever since that strategy earning call, he has kind of been doing damage control. I don't necessarily, and I'm not here to, cover for Saylor. That's not my job. That's strategy's job. But we said it on the show. It does make sense. Like, if you're, anyways, if you're buying a lot of Bitcoin, selling a little bit of that Bitcoin, it's in the grand scheme of things is not that big of a deal. But obviously, as we said last week, because his brand was built on this idea of never sell your Bitcoin, it was news. Now, we got another clip update on this because everyone's freaking out about it. So that's what I'll cover right now when I come back from the break.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin. Here's something most Bitcoin holders never figure out until it's too late. You're sitting on wealth you can't touch without selling. Ledin fixes that. Bitcoin-backed loans. You keep your stack, you get cash. And they just introduced their lowest rates ever. No complexity, no fine print. The larger the loan, the lower the rate. These new rates apply to all new loans, refinances, and renewals. You'll see all the rates up front before you apply. The new, lower rates come with Ledin's gold standard protection. Your Bitcoin remains custodied and is never lent out for interest. Perfect 8-year track record of keeping clients' assets safe. Auto top-ups, LTV alerts, and partial repayments to keep you in control. Repay whenever you want with zero penalties or monthly payments. Ledin's perfect $10 billion track record through every market cycle in the last 8 years speaks for itself. Don't choose between a great rate and the safety of your Bitcoin. Get both at Ledin. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you already know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
All right, guys. Sorry. Someone's blowing up my phone. I'm getting spam calls right now, man. Anyways, if you've been watching the show, if you're on Twitter, you're obviously aware that, like, all right, this is kind of funny to me. So, you know, Saylor's out here. He buys another $43 million of Bitcoin. He's back. You know, the orange dots are back. He's buying another, you know, tens of millions of dollars of Bitcoin. Stretch this morning, you know, is at par. He basically bought all of the Bitcoin mined today with the Stretch product. And all everyone wants to talk about is not the fact that he's buying Bitcoin, but that he said something in his earning calls. It is kind of funny now that if Saylor isn't buying $1 billion of Bitcoin a week, it's not news. It's not a news story anymore. So now we're at this point in the cycle where we're just nitpicking what he's saying because we're kind of bored here with like, yo, buy another Billy, bro. Like, buy another Billy, pump the price, dude. So, you know, there's that. Saylor bought some more Bitcoin this morning, but all everyone is talking about is what he said last week, is buy more Bitcoin than you sell. The strategy earning call, I played you guys the clips last week. Saylor did say, hey, we are going to sell some Bitcoin, the capital gains on our Bitcoin so that we can fund or pay for the Stretch dividends. That's what everyone is talking about. Oh, Saylor says he's going to sell some Bitcoin. You know, Saylor's going to sell his 800,000 Bitcoin. Like, you know, he buys another 50 mil. No one cares. All we care about is the fact that he said he might potentially sell some Bitcoin, like a little portion of his Bitcoin. And everyone's like, oh, it's over, bro. The bull is selling his Bitcoin. Well, we got an update. Because Saylor has been doing a little bit of damage control on Twitter. I'll agree with that. You know, the fact he did that tweet, we saw one from Strategy say that if the Bitcoin price only goes up 2.3% a year, they will be able to pay the stretch dividend. It doesn't seem like he's really that worried, but it is interesting to me that Saylor is doing damage control right now. Like, he is doing some PR right now because everyone freaked out. And, you know, also people like calling Stretch and Strategy a Ponzi. And I like to troll, but I really think Strategy is in a, I don't think there's anything to be concerned. If you are an MSTR holder or even a Stretch holder, I think Saylor, you know, he's a rocket scientist. I'm just a 42 IQ YouTube talking head. Okay. If you're going to trust someone, I would probably take Saylor's opinions over mine. I'll do that any day. Anyway, we got another clip update explaining, I guess, a little better than he did the first time to fully explain his reasoning and what he's doing. So here's the clip. It's pretty short. And then we'll chat about it.
We might sell 20 basis points of Bitcoin, like 0.2% of Bitcoin in a month. We'd probably buy 5x or 10x that much in the same month. So people are getting caught up on that. But if you sell $100 million of Bitcoin in the same month that you buy $1 billion or $2 billion of Bitcoin, we're still net buyers of Bitcoin. We're still net holders of Bitcoin. But the benefit to being able to fund with Bitcoin is we have the option to never sell a share of stock again, and that really rips the faces off of the shorts. That's good, right? And then we also have the option to capture the tax credit, because we have billions of dollars of tax credits that if we were to simply sell the high basis Bitcoin, we would capture the tax benefit and we could fund the dividend And then with STRC, we're selling so much STRC that we'll buy back 10 Bitcoin for every 1 Bitcoin we sell. And if you can do that, I would recommend you do it too. It's not a bad.
Oh man. You gotta love everyone on Twitter. Everyone on Twitter just takes a little soundbite, they run with it, they get the engagement, you know, they get their Twitter payouts, and Saylor's out here just doing damage control. But we literally said this on the show. It's like, look, I mean, Nico kind of got it a little bit wrong. He's like, look, they're capitulating, perfect bottom market signal. I'm like, bro, he literally said, like, we're going to sell the capital gains to fund the stretch product. And now Saylor's like, look, if I'm selling, you know, 1 Bitcoin through the stretch product, I'm going to be buying 10 Bitcoin a month. It's like, it's a good balance sheet move. Now, obviously, the reason everyone freaked out is because for years he's been saying never sell your Bitcoin. Now, I think that was probably before he figured out the stretch product and what he needed to do to engineer that going further. But I really don't think it's that big of a deal. It's like, what, you know, I know the meme buy more Bitcoin than you sell doesn't hit as strong as never sell your Bitcoin. But do we think Bitcoin is money? Do we think we should be using our Bitcoin? I know right now, maybe you want to first store a lot of value in Bitcoin. But if it comes down to like a normal person, it's like, look, just make sure you're saving the majority of your Bitcoin. If you are all in on Bitcoin, just make sure you have the majority of your coin. I'm not going to yell at you. I have some friends that will yell at you. You know, I have a particular cat in mind on Twitter that is very proud that he has never sold Bitcoin. And, you know, kudos to him. He's my boy. I love him. But for many people, if you're all in on Bitcoin, you're using it as your money. You're using it to live. You know, I know some of you guys in the chat's like, look, I've been saving in Bitcoin for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. It's like, I probably will use a little Bitcoin so I can pay off my car debt. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the point of it. It's like, build a nest egg, you know, increase your purchasing power, increase your savings power. And if you want to take a little bit off the top to live your life, why are you listening to people on the internet tell you what to do with your money? That's what I've been saying for years. Now, Saylor is obviously, I think, thinking in that same mindset, but in a grander level. He's like, look, if I can just he literally said 0.2, like a tiny amount of my Bitcoin to pay off the dividend to my stretch product, and this continues going on forever, and I buy billions of dollars a month of Bitcoin. It's like, what's the big deal here? But it is interesting that he is doing the PR, you know, he's doing the podcast circle. He's doing, you know, because it caught on so big. He's out there having to clarify this because it did, I think, spook a lot of investors, or rather a lot of people on Bitcoin made a mountain out of a molehill. I really don't think it's that crazy, but some more clarity on Saylor and strategy. I think again, like I said last week, the most interesting thing to me is that Saylor probably said that in the strategy earning calls. And he probably didn't think people were going to freak out about it. And then everyone freaked out about it. And he's like, oh, shit, I got to go out there and do the PR. I got to make tweets. I got to go on podcasts and talk about it. He's probably like, dude, it was really like a throwaway comment here, you know, explaining what he's going to be doing. And everyone freaked out about it. Man, it's pretty interesting. It's just funny to it's funny to watch. Yeah, I mean, look, down under blues, sure. You know, buy 20 Bitcoin, sell 1. Just buy 19 Bitcoin and sell 9. Yeah, if you're like a normal person. He's doing some crazy elaborate financial engineering. I really don't think it's that big of a deal, but you know, what do I know? What do I know, man? What I would love to be Coffeezilla. Is this what winning feels like? People just over sensationalize things. Saylor says, yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, if he does it for taxes, the rest of the companies might follow and it could drop to 60 again out of fear. Yeah. True. But I don't think we're there yet. Again, not that many companies actually hold Bitcoin. Yes, we have more companies than ever. But in the grand scheme of things, we are still early. Anyways, in that light, I do when so far. Anyways. I saw some interesting stuff on Friday in regards to the stock market. And it made me think of Bitcoin diminishing returns. And I think we have two examples here that are going to fundamentally, at least in my mind, change how we should be viewing where we're going from here. And I was, after the Friday show, I went and got some food. I went to an Argentinian steakhouse. You know, I treated myself. It's the end of the week. I got some picanha. I was like chilling, drinking a beer. I'm on Twitter. And I saw this post from Kobayashi Letter giving the numbers on what happened in the stock market in the last month. It's absolutely insane. And of course, it always came back to Bitcoin for me. So I think, and I could be wrong here, but I'm going to double down on the idea that I think diminishing returns in Bitcoin, it's not going to happen. I think the last two cycles have basically been dampened. I think the metaphorical they made sure that Bitcoin didn't find escape velocity, that basically we didn't have the bull runs that we all know and love. And I think this time, because we are going to see an incredible amount of institutional capital come in, added with a lot of retail once Bitcoin starts to make a new all-time high, it might not be this cycle, but I don't believe diminishing returns is a thing. Everyone's saying, oh, look, the bear market, or sorry, the bull market highs, they're decreasing. It's never going to run like it used to run. And for a while there, I just kept saying, I'm like, dude, go talk to normal people. How many people actually hold Bitcoin? How many institutions actually hold Bitcoin? Of the entire world, global market cap, global capital pool, how much of Bitcoin takes up, or how much of that capital has found its way into Bitcoin? It's like nothing, literally like nothing, like crumbs. A rounding error of capital has come into Bitcoin. And everyone is still saying, oh, you know, the power law, Bitcoin's going to go up, and it's very, you know, slow grind up, very mathematical nature. And we know that the returns per bull market are going to go down. And I'm like, no, I don't see it. Do we not believe in the S-curve adoption of Bitcoin? And you're telling me that we've already seen the exponential growth phase of Bitcoin? I don't see it. Again, I'm biased, I'm bullish, but to me, it's never made sense. Anyways, enough context. Last commercial break, and I'll break it down for you.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy, HIVE has quadrupled its global Bitcoin mining footprint and channels that same scale into high-performance compute, where their AI cloud is now ranked #1 in the world for network performance. At HIVE, you've got dual engines, Bitcoin and AI humming, roaring, accelerating in unison. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable digital infrastructure. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at HIVEdigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store.
All right, guys. I see. Yes, dude. Picanha. It's the go. Okay. Maybe these thoughts are just coming because I was getting the dopamine of eating a good steak and having a beer. I'm like, it's Friday. I finally get a break. And I'm on Twitter, obviously. Like, I'm never off Twitter. I'm perpetually online. Okay. Perpetually online. I'm like alone. I'm eating the steak. I'm drinking a beer. You know, I'm on Twitter and I see this tweet. And also, I don't know if you guys saw over the weekend, but it was very interesting to see that over the weekend, everyone was really, really going hard on that we are in a new .com bubble in terms of AI. Like, that was the main conversation that I was seeing on Twitter Friday afternoon. It's like, oh my God, there's so many signposts showing us that we're in a new .com bubble. And that's not what I'm going to talk about, but it was interesting that is what it seemed like everyone was saying Friday. That I don't know if you guys saw that. Maybe, you know, maybe it's just my timeline, but I saw a lot of correlations with what we're seeing in the stock market to the .com 2000 era. I mean, Michael Burry was out here saying like it feels exactly like the ending months of 1999 and 2000 before the .com bubble, because we're seeing the stock market absolutely go bonkers, guys. It's what are we doing here holding Bitcoin? We should just all buy the S&P 500 or the QQQ. Yo, what are we doing here? What? Man, being ideological really doesn't pay off. Anyway, I'm kind of low-key trolling because Bitcoin will have its day in the sun. It's going to rip. But anyways, in the same context of that, I saw this tweet here from Kobayashi Letter, and absolutely bonkers. All right, this is, I'll connect this with where my thinking is at. Kobayashi Letter tweeted this. It goes, "We truly are witnessing history right now. It's clear that the period we are in now will be referenced for decades to come. The S&P 500 has added $10 trillion in 29 days. Let me repeat that. In the last month, the S&P 500, just kind of magically out of thin air, has added $10 trillion in its market cap. Semiconductor, AI stocks are surging 100% plus in weeks, and the Trump administration is up 550% on Intel. When we began emphasizing the need to own assets to win in this market over 12 months ago, this is exactly what we meant. While inflation is back and the labor market is weakened, it simply does not matter right now. In fact, the return of inflation has only intensified the scramble for yield and hard assets that can preserve purchasing power. Look at the data. Just 5 stocks have accounted for roughly 50% of the S&P 500 total gains since April 1st. These same tech giants driving the market higher are gaining even more momentum amid rate cuts, deregulation, and historic inflows into equities. Asset owners are experiencing one of the greatest wealth expansions in modern history, while everyone else is being left behind. Our 12-plus month thesis has materialized." So obviously, yes, we're seeing the stock market absolutely rip. We've heard Trump talk about this for over a year, that he is looking at the stock market as an indicator of how he's doing with his presidency, his presidential, administration. We've seen the Iran war, whatever's happening in the Middle East, a ceasefire, not ceasefire, Friday night after the markets close. You know, maybe we go in for 48 hours and then Monday market's open and it's over. There, you could say there is some stock market manipulation going on, but it's besides the point. I fundamentally believe that where we currently are, there is so much money sloshing in the system that it will eventually find its way to Bitcoin. Maybe not this week, next month, or what have you, but eventually it will find its way into Bitcoin. And if what we're seeing in the stock market is any indicator of how much capital will eventually find its way into Bitcoin, I am 100% convinced that diminishing returns in Bitcoin, it's not a thing. I don't believe it. Again, in the last month, the S&P 500 has added $10 trillion. Last year, gold added $10 trillion to its market cap. And what is the prevailing view on Bitcoin? Oh, its market cap is so big. It's $1.5 trillion. To get the returns that you expect from the past in Bitcoin, it needs so much capital to come in. And getting that much capital to come in Bitcoin is just not going to happen. So Bitcoin's probably only going to have like a 3x this cycle, guys, because last cycle it was 6x, and the cycle before that it was 12x, and the cycle before that it was 100x. Because you can see we have 3 data points, and look, it's diminishing, guys. So diminishing returns is going to be a thing. And I'm like, yeah, cool story, bro. But gold added $10 trillion in a year. S&P 500 added $10 trillion in a month. You don't think $10 trillion could be added to the Bitcoin market cap and blow all of these models out of the water? I think people are still using old like I still believe people think we are in like a 2015 scenario in the global economy. Like everyone still thinks we are living in the past here. And I'm like, God, do you remember like 2020, they printed half of all the dollars in existence, and now we are starting to see QE about to happen. It's like just the money printer's about to speed up, and everyone is looking for hard assets and places to store their value. And you think, oh yeah, because of the power law, Bitcoin's only going to go up 3x, guys. It's mathematically, it's math, guys. Trust the math. I'm like, no, what if $10 trillion wanted to find its way into Bitcoin? It's totally not out of the realm of possibility. It's a non-zero chance it could happen. It's the exponential growth. They can't see how it happens still. Exactly. Like, okay, look, Tommy, I know. Let's get to 150K first. Let's get to $10 trillion market cap first. I get it. But remember and my numbers have been wrong. You guys have yelled at me, but wow, I'm blanking on what it's called. For every dollar that goes into Bitcoin, the multiplier effect. I've seen different numbers. I think the more conservative is like 5x or something like that. For every dollar that comes into Bitcoin, the multiplier effect basically adds $4 or $5 to the market cap. I've seen some very high predictions, or rather numbers like 10 to 20%, depending on certain market factors. But say it's $4 to $5 multiplier effect. So we'll go with 5. Easy math. $2 trillion be added inflows coming into Bitcoin. That would add about $10 trillion to the market cap. If it's a 5x multiplier, goes smaller, or maybe less inflows. $1 trillion finds its way into Bitcoin with a 10x multiplier. That's $10 trillion added to the market cap. Like, Bitcoin doesn't need $10 trillion of inflows to come in for Bitcoin to go up a $10 trillion market cap. I am fundamentally convinced by what we are seeing in the S&P 500 and in gold last year, and in silver. Silver added what? It was like 2 trillion, 4 trillion to its market cap. I don't have the numbers on top of my head, but it went exponential. I think I think we all have PTSD in regards to the 2021 cycle and the 2024 all-time high, or 2025 all-time high. You know, we have been seeing a diminishing returns up to this point. But I think we are all underestimating how much capital is sloshing in the system that will eventually need to find a home. And once the scarcity aspect of Bitcoin sets into people and they truly understand what a 21 million hard cap means, and they scramble to get to one coin, half a coin, any coin at all, really starts to kick in. And every rich person wants to get their capital out of whatever the hell else they're holding, and it needs to get into Bitcoin. I really think we will start to see the S-curve adoption happen, but I don't think the idea, oh, big number market cap means, you know, more money for big number return. I'm like, guys, are you watching what's happening in gold? Are you watching what's happening in the S&P 500? Gold's market cap was what, $20 trillion? It added $10 trillion to its market cap when absolutely exponential. S&P 500, trillions of dollars, added $10 trillion in a month. I'm just like, guys, are we looking at the same? Like, I remember when everyone used to be bullish here. What happened to everyone being bullish? Now, I agree. Sometimes we were stupidly, naively bullish. You know, I agree. You know, I get overly bullish. Maybe we're all trying to mature a little bit. You know, the suits are here, so we can't say too crazy stuff. But I am reminded of my friend's quote, Rockstar Dev, and I do have to censor it a little bit. You know, I am on YouTube. He says it a little differently. But our job here, and I have not forgotten my job, our job here is to be so absolutely bullish that your friends and family think you're an idiot. That is our job. We need to maintain bullishness no matter what. And I'm looking at traditional markets, and they're pumping like shit coins in Bitcoin. And you don't think Bitcoin can still pump again, man? Guys. Did we all forget how to be bullish? Did the last 5 years really do a number on our psyche? We all have PTSD. I'm still and always bullish. Let's see, over 95% mine, 20 to 21 million mine, 5 million lost, and Wall Street crashed the top to set their tables, which means we're about to see the 5 curve spike. All right, okay. Let's go. I'm just saying, look, I could be wrong. But in the context of what we're seeing in traditional markets, in the context of Bitcoin being tiny, and I believe Bitcoin is a more powerful idea than basically all the companies on the stock market. I think it's a bigger idea than AI. Hence why everyone's going, you know, AI agents will need Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is bigger than all of the, you know, I wouldn't say all the capital in the world, because a lot of people will still want more traditional investment products, or, you know, whether that's art, collectibles, real estate, etc. I think there will always be a need for those. But I think Bitcoin is still very early. And I'm looking at the S&P 500 add 10 trillion. I'm looking at gold add 10 trillion. I'm like, is it so crazy to think that Bitcoin could add 10 trillion and diminishing returns is completely destroyed? I don't know. Okay. I'm just starting Monday off a little strong with some bullishness. Okay. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is you guys are all bearish. I remember when you guys were bullish. It's making me sad. I thought we were all bulls here. And yet everyone's like, oh, Bitcoin volatility has gone down. There's no way $10 trillion could be added to the market cap, bro. Bitcoin's only going to do like a 3x. Like, we'll get lucky if we get to 200, 300K this next cycle. I'm like, I don't know, man. I remember having a dream. I remember being so bullish. It hasn't happened yet, but I can't let go of it. Can't let go of it. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Actually, the numbers keep going up. You guys like the Monday bullishness. Okay. Drinking that bull sauce. Hell yeah. Yeah, the stash is kind of strong. I haven't shaved in a couple of weeks. It's a little dirty. Thank you, Harry Garcia. Yeah, my boy out there. Anyways, it's Monday. It's going to be a very interesting week. Few things going on, in my opinion. Obviously, the Clarity Act markup on Thursday. It's going to be a big moment. Maybe you're like me. I'm a little burnt out on that, on even talking about it. But finally, the rubber hits the road. And then two, more in the price action stuff. And I know some of you guys don't like the price action stuff, but the 82K range is going to be very interesting. I think the next few days, maybe we did correct a little bit. I think we're still around the 80K range, but we do have kind of two very interesting points right now. We have the resistance, horizontal resistance around 82K. And then we have a trend line that is building up. They are magic lines. I agree with you. But it's going to be very interesting if these two areas cause something to pop. I'm taking the bullish bet to the upside. But who knows? If the Clarity Act markup does go through on Thursday, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bitcoin price tanked, guys. I'm just saying. Don't be surprised if we get some good news and the Bitcoin price dumps. But I'm still taking the bullish side. I think, I'll go back to what I said. I'm kind of looking at that 85K range, guys. I don't know, man. The oracles are telling me. We're at 82 right now. Shut up. Let's go. Okay, maybe my 85K prediction is maybe I'll be right. Let's see. All right, before I go, let me just check where we currently are. Let me go to my chart real quick. A little red hammer. I'm seeing 81.9, but yeah, it's about 82. I don't know. Red hammer is not good. Let's see what happens by the end of the day. If we can end the day green, I don't know, boys. I'm starting to feel bullish. We are starting to feel bullish. You can have a bullish uptrend within a bearish downtrend. I agree. But I don't know, guys. I'm not convinced we are going to be in this bear market till October. What do I know? I'm just saying. Anyways, guys, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your day. We will be back this week. Normal time. We should 12:40. I shouldn't be too late this week, but who knows? All right. Anyways, you already know the deal. It is Monday, all right? We are locking in for Monday. So, what's that mean? It means every single one of you has a couple of things you need to do. You got to lock in on your diet. You got to lock in on your workout. Even if that's just getting your 10K steps. You got to lock in on, buying more Bitcoin, or maybe by the end of the week, spending less money so that you can buy more Bitcoin. Call your loved ones. Hopefully you called your mother yesterday. And, for those whose mothers are still around, hopefully you called your mother. Or, your siblings that have children. Hopefully you're not just a hermit and you forgot to reach out to your loved ones and your friends. Relationships are important here. You know, we need that connection. Get outside, get some sun on you. It's almost summertime. It's so hot down here, guys. I'm like melting. Get some sun. Lock in on your diet. Lock in on your workout. Lock in on your stacking goals. Lock in on your cash flow goals. We are locking in. We are ascending in 2026. You got to do all the things, all right? It's not enough to just hold Bitcoin. You need to be elite human capital in all ventures of humanity. Need you guys looking good, dressing sharp, stacking Bitcoin, being charismatic, being interesting. We're doing all the things. Did I go to? No, dude, I didn't do F1. I saw some of the memes. I kind of wanted to, and I was burnt out. I freaking stayed on the couch all weekend watching Netflix. Did my workouts. I ate good, but bro, I was like, I don't have the energy to interact with anyone this weekend. So, hey, also rest up, guys. You know, got to get the rest. Sleep well. Get your 7-8 hours, you know, sleep. All the good stuff, okay? We need you guys in peak physical, mental, and spiritual condition. It's going to be an interesting year. Anyways, guys, Ubermensch. Exactly. Exactly. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Peace out.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.